Hi, Kelsey K here to give you my thoughts on RWBY Volume 1, Chapter 1, Ruby Rose. I know I'm coming in a bit late to this party, but I figured I'd start at the beginning, so let's begin. Now, I love RWBY. I've seen all the episodes more times than I'd like to admit, and I have to say this was a pretty good introduction to the show. I'm glad they didn't start out with the school stuff. I think many of the people in the adult audience would not have been as interested in the show if it had started out with that. So I love that they introduce some of the most charming characters at the beginning. Like, we have our great start-out villain, Roman Torchwick, and our charming main character, Ruby Rose, who admittedly is a little overly goofy in this episode, but that is kind of her personality, so I suppose that works. We even have a few of the teachers and one of the later villains introduced, which is very surprising. With all that said, let's dive into the episode. Now, we start off with Roman Torchwick robbing a dust shop. Now, I'm not exactly sure why a 15-year-old like Ruby Rose would be in a dust shop by herself this late at night, but it works for the effect of the episode, even though it is a bit illogical. And it's very, very interesting how they go about robbing it, and that the criminals are so terrible that they just can't, that they tried to rob a 15-year-old girl in, like, the dumbest manner possible, which adds to the humorous effect, but is kind of silly. And then Ruby is listening to the theme song of her own show on her headphones, which is a nice touch, I have to say. Now, this moment here is pretty much what turned me onto the show. My friend showed me this, and I was immediately like, okay, that is really cool. I have got to watch more of this show, and it was pretty awesome. I mean, it's so funny that such a little girl would have that huge, enormous, oversized scythe. It pretty much sets the tone for the entire show. It's just great. Best moment in the entire episode. Now, I love this shot of Roman aiming his cane, because it's like, I have pretty much nothing bad to say about his character in this episode. It's a great introduction. I mean, he's this suave character that uses a cane for a weapon. Like, except for Oobleck's thermos, this is probably the weirdest weapon in the show. And you gotta love it. It works perfectly with the character, and yeah, great character. Now, I'm gonna be a little picky about this fight scene. I know it's the first one in the show, but it's not a very good fight scene. I've never been huge on it, and I've never particularly liked Glinda Goodwitch. I don't know why I don't like her. There's nothing really wrong with her. I've just never been a fan. And I'll get into the other reasons why I don't like this fight on those images. Hi, Cinder. I have to say, it is pretty dang funny that they introduced their villain for 2 volumes later in the first ever episode. I mean, unofficially, since they didn't actually show her face, but pretty much any older viewer who's seen Cinder later and looks back is gonna know that's Cinder. It's a nice touch. Okay, as for this shot, Glinda's abilities are telekinesis. To my recollection, weather manipulation is not involved in telekinesis. So this ability makes no sense. Though I will say Roman's reaction is pretty accurate. Okay, this one is going to be a character design complaint. But it's just my personal opinion, but I just find it annoying. Cinder wears glass heels, stiletto heels. I'm sorry, but that is not a viable option for combat. Like, in later volumes, she's shown doing these crazy landings and stuff, and that makes no sense, because you would either break the heels or break your ankle doing that. Like, it's just it looks cool, but it's a silly character design. Ruby is such a geek, and I love it. It's so cute when she does that. Can I have your autograph bit? Okay, the only thing I have a problem with in this part is that occasionally Rooster Teeth does these things where they'll say something about a character, but it never really pops up in the show. Like, okay, I know this is a RWBY Chibi thing, and that's not actually canon, but in RWBY Chibi, they're always making jokes about Ruby liking cookies. This scene is the only indication of that. My main problem actually would be Weiss singing. Them saying Weiss has a good singing voice when the only time you actually hear her singing until Volume 4 is in the White trailer, which is easily misinterpreted. Okay, I find it weird that Osmond calls the character of Crow a dusty old crow in this bit. Like, it doesn't really make sense since he's, not actually a bird or anything. It's not even really officially confirmed he can turn into a crow. I mean, yeah, it kind of looked like it in one of the episodes of Volume 4 and the end of Volume 3, but it was never actually confirmed. And they just keep using all these bird references, and, like, he's not actually a bird. Like, his name is Crow with a Q. It's not actually the same thing. Okay, this is the last thing I'm going to say about the Crow references in this episode, but RWBY says he's a teacher at Signal. Crow doesn't really strike me as a teacher character. I mean, I don't really doubt he's a teacher, but he just doesn't seem like someone you'd want to hire as a teacher. Don't get me wrong, I love Crow, but that's kind of weird, and we've also never actually seen any indication that he has a class. I mean, he's always going on missions. That's not exactly the... Like, how would you always go on missions and be a teacher at a school? It doesn't really make sense. Okay, I love this bit where RWBY says, "Hey, might as well make a career out of it," about being a huntress, because it's such forward thinking for a 15-year-old to already know where she wants to go to college, quote unquote, and and what she wants to do with her life. I mean, it's great, and I think it's hilarious. It's awesome. That's just so funny, because that's such, like, I don't know many 15-year-olds who know that much of what they want to do with their life. I think it's great. Okay, that is not how applying to college works. Okay, I think the fact that they used an in-world news report to show so much exposition is actually great. Like, that's a really clever way to do that exposition. Like, introducing who Roman Torchic really is and introducing the White Fang. Like, I think that's pretty clever, actually. Glinda Good Witch. Not so subtle nod to character inspiration. So at this point, RWBY says something about, hey, look, you can see Signal from here. Just once I'd like to see Signal, because they say, like, Ty works there, Crow works there, RWBY used to go there, I assume Yang used to go there. It'd be interesting to see it in the show just once. Okay, this dialogue about Yang having puke on her shoes and grossing RWBY out with it, that's totally hilarious and pretty sums up their relationship pretty well. Though how Yang wound up with puke on her shoes, I have no idea, since John was not throwing up when he walked past them. So yeah, that pretty much ends my review of the episode. I think it's a pretty good episode. I know I sounds like I bashed it a lot, but it's actually really good, and I like it a lot. I just am very critical of some things. So I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.